He's not gonna be here.
He's running a show.
I understand that. I'm just saying he's not here.
Yeah.
Okay, and we are live.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Katie Dodwell. I'm going to be filling in for Mr. Galani. He is at a very special moment. His 8th grade daughter is graduating from St. Albans this evening, and I think we need to understand that that's a priority for him. And so I'll be chairing this evening. If we could get the roll call from
Absolutely.
Ms. Ripito first.
Councilmember Roblewski,
Here.
Councilmember Trottier, Councilmember Ottenberg,
Here.
Councilmember Dodwell,
Here?
Councilmember McCutcheon. Here. Councilmember Rambo,
Here.
Councilmember Krantz,
Here.
and Councilmember Galani is not here, but we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. I know we have on the agenda that we're going to elect a chair and a vice chair this evening, but because we don't have full participation this evening, I'm going to make a motion that we postpone that until the following meeting later in June. We have.
Can we-
Second.
Can we do that with Robert Rules of Order? Can we postpone
Yes, we
that?
can.
Yes, ma'am. We've done that in the past just for a very similar reason where the election happened to be on a night when we only had 5 or 6 members. And so it's always preferable if we can have a full committee.
Well, I understand that. I just want to make sure we are using the correct process.
Okay, so it looks like everybody is, Mr. Rambo seconded.
Nope.
So if we could have a vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okey doke. Then we'll just move right along to approval of the minutes from the last committee meeting. If everybody has had a chance to look over them, who was participating last week or last month, excuse me. Anyone want to make a motion for approval, or do we need to make any changes?
I'll move her approval.
Ms. McCutcheon moves and Mr. Rambo seconds. All in favor? Say Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Thank you for moving us right along, guys.
Thank you.
And I think now we've got public participation. Ms. Ripito, do we have anybody for public participation?
We do have one speaker card for Mr. Andy Dobb with Bombshell Construction. He wishes to speak on the Essen Log Cabin, so I don't know if you want to speak now or if you'd like to wait until the agenda item's up.
I can do whenever. It's fine, however you guys would like to do it.
Why don't we just wait until the agenda item and then it's all pulled together, if that's okay with
Excellent.
the staff?
Then at this time, if there are attendees on Zoom that would like to speak during public participation, if you'd like to use the raise hand feature, we will promote you to speak.
Should we not, because we have him here, should we not vote to move the Essen cabin up so he doesn't have to hang around?
Yeah, I just hadn't gotten to that point yet. Okay,
We have no one on Zoom that has raised their hand. So
okay, so we're gonna go ahead and close the public input session. And now if we can move on to parks matters, and we had a request to move the Essen Log Cabin bid process up in the agenda since we have a representative from the contractor here. Can I get a motion to do so?
Yes, make it.
Mr. Ottenberg moves. Any second? Mr. Kranz seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain. Okay. Mr. Vunich, if you can get started with that process for us.
Certainly, ma'am. Before I get started, first of all, I'd like to welcome our new member. Thanks for being here. She's had a long afternoon. Mr. Young did his famous presentation on Robert's rules and all the things in between. So
totally confused.
big on her part, and if she should be a little sleepy by now.
She at least came this evening.
So as the members will recall, particularly those that attended the meeting in April, the department had made a recommendation regarding the bidding process relative to the reassembly of the Essen Log Cabin. There were a number of questions raised by the committee members relative to the department's recommendation, which wasn't the low bid, which was Bombshell Construction. Bombshell Construction is the general contractor for phase one of Village Green, which is underway just outside City Hall. At that time, Bombshell Construction, its owner, Andy Dobbs, participated in the discussion. And at the conclusion of all of that, there were a couple of requests. First, the question of should we proceed forward with the reassembly in 2025, as has been planned, part of our budgeting process that concluded in 2024. And also to investigate how the city might raise funds to better offset our stress on our capital improvements program that we're experiencing in 2025, based upon what our city administrator has said, probably in 2026 as well. And so there's a couple of things that I'd like to address before opening the floor to Mr. Dobbs with the chair's permission, or taking your questions. First, later on in the agenda, we will be talking about and going out and trying to solicit participation in some of our more expensive park and recreation projects. Specifically, we'll be talking about the all-inclusive playground. And then, as you know, we do a pretty big push on our community for Celebrate Wildwood. So we have a little experience with some expert advice from Unlimited Play on how we might cut the cost on our all-inclusive playground. From the perspective of the department, I do want to tackle it probably the elephant in the room. So first and foremost, the Bombshell Construction, after our meeting in April, has made great strides out at the site. I mean, to me, it's just been real rewarding to sit here at City Hall and take a peek out the window and go over at the end of day. There's just been great progress. And Mr. Keitel, who's helping the city with construction management, has nothing but praise for the quality of the work. So that's the good news. Obviously, there's been a litany of missteps along the way. I mentioned some of those last time. A lot of them seem to be focused around the engineering plans that we received, and we're still addressing some of the inconsistencies that we are seeing now as we move further into the project. So not all of the delays are attributable to the general contractor. I'll say that for the record. And obviously, we know that we have the electrical issue that hopefully will be resolved here very shortly. So saying all of that, the department just is, I guess as best as I could put it, adamant that we need to get the cabin reassembled if we're going to do it. It's been 10 years. That means 10 years the logs being stored. Now for the last couple of years, for the most part, to the elements. It's just practically impossible for Glenn Bailey to keep a tarp on it anymore with the storms we've been getting. And so from that perspective, we're kind of, I feel, a little bit with our backs to the wall. Given what I've seen of Bombshell Construction and his commitment to find cost savings relative to the project, which he's already noted at the last meeting in April, going more to a manufactured stone versus a natural stone with masons out there working to fit it, onto the foundation walls that are being poured. Then certainly, if that is the impetus to get us moving forward, the low bid from the bidding process, a commitment to save us X amount of dollars up front, and the same commitment we're seeing now over the last few weeks on phase one, the department would be more than happy to accept the direction from the committee and city council to work with Bombshell Construction on the reassembly. It's a project that needs to be done. I'm afraid we're at a point where we might lose the logs if we just keep postponing and postponing. And there's a lot of momentum now. The Essen family's been involved. We got a lot of good publicity from the Wildwood Historical Society. So I really think that, the tension between phase one and the Essen log cabin shouldn't be the deciding factor of whether we move forward or not. We can afford it. The good news is if we take money from Pertner Park, the sound mitigation program and property acquisitions, we actually will have some money left over. We don't need all of it. And so we can probably do a couple, we might be able to do sound mitigation, and we might be able to do a little bit of design and engineering for Pertner Park. So I think we can maybe cover all the bases and get things moving. So my plea to you all tonight is, don't let the tension that I obviously wore on my face at the last meeting in April delay the project. I think we have two competent contractors. If you feel Bombshell is the most appropriate one based upon what you heard from Andy in April, what I'm telling you tonight, I'd love to proceed with the project. With that, I'll close, and if there's any questions of the department, we'll be glad to answer them. And again, Mr. Dobb is here as well.
Mr. Upler.
I am not sure if this is the appropriate point to do this, but I would make a motion that we would proceed with Bombshell construction for the reassembly of the Essen log cabin.
I want to hold that and just make sure there's nobody that has any questions for Baumgard while they're here. But before we even get to that question period, does Baumgard have anything that they want to present to the committee as a whole?
I just wanted to speak about so
If you weren't prepared to speak on this topic, that's okay.
I am prepared.
Mhm.
I am not wanting to. I'm trying to decide how I want to say this. I have a real big problem with saying something about another contractor, because I'm not gonna do that.
Then don't.
Then don't.
Yeah, don't do it. We don't want you to.
What has me concerned is if we're talking about any kind of timeframes whatsoever, there's other outside factors that make me concerned over one of two things. Either let me get done with the job and get off the job and then start it, or let me do the job as I bid the job to do it. I can save you guys money on like I said, on the stone. I've made that clear. I know that I can save $20,000. What has me concerned is the whole thing with unions. And my company and all of my contractors and everybody that I use is union. And unfortunately, the other guy is not. And if you're talking about slowing the job down, tickets go up so fast, it would blow your mind.
Yeah.
And so I'm not gonna question the guy's talent. I'm figure he's very talented. It has me very worried about timeframes. So that's all I want to say about that. I'm not saying anything bad about another contractor at all. I want to make that very clear.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
If you were selected as the company to do this project,
Yes.
what kind of impact would that have on the completion of the Village Green?
It would have no impact. There's the Village Green project is a 100% labor operator,
Mhm.
masonry, paver walls, retaining walls,
Mhm.
operators and laborers.
Mhm.
The Essen log cabin is carpenters.
Just wanted to give you the opportunity to make that
Yeah,
statement.
so I have currently 6 carpenters, journeyman carpenters that work under me and 4 apprentice carpenters.
Mhm.
And then I currently have about 5 or 6, my nephew's one of them, so I'm gonna say 5.5 laborers that work under me. They're the ones working on Village Green right now. It doesn't have any bearing. There's no timeframe bearing.
So you would be able to start on this project.
Immediately, yeah, immediately.
Okay. I'll get to you next. Mr. Rambo had his hand up first.
Yeah,
So Mr. Rambo,
I've said this before, if we don't get the cabin up, we've just got an oval in the middle of nowhere, and I think the cabin, I wholeheartedly support the idea of reconstructing the cabin now. Your point about unions, is an excellent one. I hadn't considered it, but I have experienced that many times, and some of us probably have. You wind up, you try to open an extra gate, or you do this, or you do that, and it's always weird. And so that is a big selling point in Bombshell's favor. Joe, you've changed your tune a little bit from the last write-up that I saw, and I want to make sure that we're all completely comfortable with going in the Bombshell direction, but otherwise I'm inclined to second Scott's motion. So I guess my question is, are you feeling good about the Bombshell recommendation now, or?
Well, it's been approximately 4 weeks since the April meeting. And if you walk out to the Village Green site, you'll see a marked difference in
Yeah, I was
terms
over
of
there.
progress.
Yeah.
And I can't thank Mr. Dobb any more than right now. It's been great because we are on a bit of a crunch.
Yeah.
September is coming quite rapidly. And that's our Celebrate Wildwood event. But to kind of just move everything out of the way, if, as I said, if the tension between general contractor and the department is basically putting the project at risk, then I'm not doing you all a service that I need to be doing, and that's working with whoever to get projects that you want completed. And so tonight, that's what I'm saying. The progress is marked, it's good work, and I want the project to move forward. We'll have, Mr. Dobb may regret it, but the Steve Scotts of the world will be out there watching. So I'm gonna have plenty of assistance, making sure the cabin, people that know architecture and the cabins and things like that. So I'm comfortable with that.
That's the remaining concern, because carpenters are not log guys necessarily. I mean, carpenter can use the same sorts of tools, but I'm talking about, axes and adzes and those kinds of things, and it's a little bit different. But if feeling okay about it, you're obviously confident you can do the job. I'm ready to go, but there's other comments.
Ms. McCutcheon.
Yeah.
is next. Okay.
So I'm sorry, I was having a hard time following you.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're gonna do the main project, which is the Village Green, and now you wanna do the log cabin also, is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct?
Yes.
So, and you said you could save money. Can you
Yes.
expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, so at the last meeting, so in the plans, they show, basically what they show is the concrete foundation that when you first start the building, you're putting on this extra wide, what's called a brick ledge. And then you're using the stones that they're very nice that they offered up the stones, but you're using all these giant different misshapen stones, which back in the day, the stones were used to make the foundation. You would use you would not use concrete. Well, we can reduce costs by $20,000 if we shorten up the brick ledge and get it's still stone, and you're achieving the exact same thing that the plans show, but you're buying it from a company, Earthworks or Simcoe Stone or somebody. There's multiple companies, and it's a I don't want to say pre-manufactured. It's a specifically made stone to go on the foundation to make it look and appear that you have a stone foundation on the building, but it's way cheaper because the stones that were provided, you have to have guys out here sawing those stones into pieces and actually making them work and fit. If you buy them from, like, say, Earthworks or whatever, they look the exact same, but they're all to a uniform width, so you can just boom, 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 boom,
I know
boom.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it saves a very large amount of money. And I offered that up, I don't know, a month or two ago, and I just said, listen, it's a no-brainer in my opinion, because you're already still making a concrete foundation to build the log cabin on. You're just trying to reuse the stone where you could save a lot of money by just purchasing new stone.
So you're saying the savings of $20,000, it goes to the Essen cabin,
Yes, ma'am.
not to the overall project? not to the Village Green project.
Right, it would go to the price of the log cabin. Price, so the price, I think I was 319,000 or something like that, to make it 299 or 295 or something like that.
And is the Village Green online with what was bid, or is it greater, or is it under?
Other than an electrical issue that is outside, in my opinion, my
Anybody's gonna-
control, I feel like we're pretty close. I don't know that I know that we've made a couple changes where we changed from an organic lock material to a paver material, and that made it cost a little bit more, but I feel like I did my best to offset the cost on that.
We switched out the light standards.
Yep,
All of these have been presented to the committee, the change orders.
Yeah, I saw the change orders. I was just talking about what's going forward.
Yeah, the light standards, well, I think all in all, I think we're done with most of the change orders. The only one
Yeah.
that's kind of outstanding is the one coming from Ameren for their cost of work to underground the lines. And
and
then
we're working on the tree clearing, and I need to talk to you about whether you wanna pour back the brick stamped concrete or not, which before we did, it's,
so we probably have one more change order, and it's all about the undergrounding of the electric and the new switchgear location.
And then I had one more question, because I don't think I quite understood what you were saying, Rob. You said, well, we'll just have an oval and then we put a cabin in there. So what exactly were you saying?
But all I was saying was, what I was suggesting was, we won't have the unlimited play facility. We won't have a stage or anything like that. What we'll have is a nice oval that's sort of the infrastructure for what we really are hoping to see out of Village Green. But putting the cabin there makes it feel like we've really made some progress by September, which is the Celebrate Wildwood thing. And I'm just really eager to see a cabin there, because that's, you know, it's gonna make it a great place that people will kind of walk over to, even if there's nothing else around the oval. That's all I
The
was saying.
cabin is going where it was originally designed to go.
Yeah.
Which is outside the circle to the north or the south
Community
side.
garden.
Yeah, towards the
Right.
community garden.
Right.
Mhm.
And so here, what's the difference in the cost between a stage and the Essen cabin? What,
I think we could probably do the type of stage we had talked about. For the most part, we weren't talking about elevating the stage, we were talking about creating a structure above the existing stage. The stage is just gonna be flat work that's completed for the most part.
Yeah.
the flat work is completed for the stage area, yes.
And so we were going to do a building on top of the stage, so they'd have cover. And then as part of that, the long range plan had identified restrooms and a little concession area. We just couldn't afford that as part of phase one, because phase one is, I think I've told you all before, a lot of what we pay for is the stuff that goes underground that nobody sees, but it gives us the opportunity in the future to do additions and actually start bringing things out of the ground. But I would, just so there's abundant landscaping that's gonna be added back in, and we have all this pedestrian furniture, and then the Mayor's Grove shifting over there. So there'll be some things. to-
Yeah, I wasn't being negative. It sounded more negative than it was. It just, I mean, there's an attraction if we have the cabin, that's all.
Years and years ago, when this idea of Village Green was presented, it was really meant to be a passive space.
Mhm.
Just a place that you could go and kind of read a book, grab a cup of coffee at Starbucks or wherever, come over and sit in the shade on a nice bench and just enjoy the day. So
I'm sorry, so we have a stage, but we don't have the cover, is that correct?
that's correct.
That's correct.
And what is the cover gonna cost?
We won't know until we bid it out.
I'm
again.
asking Joe.
Well, Andy and I talked,
We
sorry,
did.
Mr. Dobb and I talked about just doing some simple sales things.
Yes. You can do, so that's kind of my specialty, is building those structures there. There's multiple different options. So you can do a wood frame structure. That would be the easiest, best option for what you have out there, would be like a wood frame structure. I don't know if you've been to the Bluebird Park or the amphitheater. We did part of that, just so you know. But that you can do either down at the bottom of the amphitheater. It's a large structure like that you could do that for. If you want to, you're somewhere in between, I don't want to speak out of turn, but you're somewhere in between, you can be $150,000 all the way up to, if you really want to go crazy, I mean, you can go all the way up to $800,000. There's other things that you can do where you can do a cantilever system where, like Joe and I were talking about, you don't even have to be on the stage at all. You could be off the back side of the stage. And some of those are at Bluebird Park also, and they look up and they go over the stage. And they're a stretched canvas type shade providing structure. And I can get you guys in touch with those are all pre-engineered deals where you can get those installed for relatively cheap. I mean, we did the big cantilever system at Bluebird for, I think that one was about $85,000. So there's a lot of different options that you can go with. If you want to know the truth, what I would strongly recommend is, I don't mean to just throw it on to somebody else, but that Ken Keitel that's out there that works for, I think he works for TerraSpec or something. That guy is a landscape architect, I'm pretty sure. He's a landscape architect. He knows what we're going for out there. He's made a lot of really good decisions that him and I have kind of worked on to kind of make field adjustments to make this plan work out very beautifully. And I really think he's the right guy to speak with on that structure. I'm just gonna tell you, it's so different and there's so many different options. You can install a cantilever stretched canvas you can do the whole entire installation for $25,000. And like I said, you can go all the way up to.
So Joe, is this an either or? We either do the cabin or we do some kind of structure over the stage? Is this an either or?
Well, I hadn't framed it as such because the discussion point was the cabin, which has been obviously programmed as part of our discussions at the end of 2024 for 2025. In fact, we talked about it in 2023 for 2024. But I guess what I would say is we'll make do, because right now it looks like we'll have maybe 2 events at Village Green. The August back to school party, hopefully, and then September, the Celebrate Wildwood. We'll use the temporary stage, and I would offer that as part of our discussion of funding enhancements to existing green space. We do it in the fall as part of our budgeting process. We can get Ken Keitel or whoever ultimately the city should choose, and we could do it with a little forethought.
And I personally, not to speak out of turn, but I would really wait until all of your landscaping is in. Because it's gonna be beautiful around that whole stage area. You may get to where you just look at it and you're like, we just need a temporary setup thing in case it's gonna rain, because there's trees and flowers and bushes and I'm a general contractor, but it's gonna be beautiful.
Well,
So what-
as he was saying,
So what,
this is phase 2 or phase 3, actually.
Well, and as you know, with the all-inclusive playground, we are now adding a restroom there. So the restroom concession area that was part of the original design for the stage may not be as essential or as priority as it once was.
so can I finish my question?
Yes, you may.
So what is the cost of to put the log cabin back together?
The bid was 300 and I believe 323,000, something like that.
I was 319.
319.
500 or something.
They were 320. The other bidder was 323.
So what-
And we're gonna have to retrofit some of the logs because we don't have all the logs.
Well, the original logs were lost, but a gentleman in the outstate area had donated a cabin to us, so we salvaged the logs. So we have those. We've also collected a number of logs over the years through demolitions, and people were kind enough to give us the logs from the cabin. So it's a little bit of taking the old and putting some, there may not all be related, but they all are logs, so to speak.
Thank you.
Mr. Kranz.
So that's $319, that's with the $20,000 discount?
No, that's before the $20,000 discount.
So what's the bottom line on the estimate then?
Be right at $299.
$299?
Yeah.
How much of that cabin was preserved? How much was destroyed? 80%, 50%?
Well, all four walls, for the most part, are intact. We lost the stone foundation, as Andy mentioned. We lost the rafters, the roof, and all the doors and windows.
You know, when you see that estimate, I cringe because I go, wow, we could probably build a new one and for a lot less. And so why is it so expensive to put this together?
It's because of the type of construction. It's basically log cabins aren't made anymore that way. So finding the windows and the doors and the everything to replace what you need to replace to make it age correct is people charge a lot of money for the stuff. That's basically it. It's there's a reason why they don't build them anymore because they're cost prohibitive now. So they're a little bit more expensive to put together.
Okay, how come we can't find another donor? I see these cabins once in a while out there. I just have a problem with that kind of money. And I get it, that's what it costs. And we're kind of tight on our budget. And I feel we're kind of rushing, and I'm just a little uneasy about it. And that's all I'm gonna say.
I have two questions, comments. The first is for Bombshell for Mr. Dodd. Since last meeting, when I heard your appeal and came up and we're very passionate about trying to move forward and doing the log cabin as well, I've actually come up 5 times to look at the construction and the progress.
Yep.
And I'm still struggling to see I'm seeing the electric done, but I know you made promises that there would be a lot of people coming and cutting bricks and we would see that happen quickly.
Yes.
And I'm still not seeing that that's done, at least the last time I was up there a few days ago. I'm still struggling with how is it gonna get done in the timeline. If we're now saying it's gonna be August, I appreciate that you came and said I'm gonna get this done, but it's been a month and I'm still not seeing significant change from my view, other than some of the things that Ameren was doing and that you were going to have some other folks involved in the process. So really, I just wanted you to address when you think it's gonna happen at this point, because it does lead to what I think about the log cabin as well.
Yeah, so we're still looking like end of July, August, I'd say. We've put over 75 pallets of pavers down. So I don't know, I'd be happy to walk up there with everybody right now. We've put well over, I think each pallet has 430 bricks on it, so 75 of them. We've put well over 10,000 pavers down. We have all the walls the wall footings are dug, and I was supposed to get the block yesterday. All of these bad storms have made it hard for the block company that we're getting the block from to get up here, but I've been assured, I kind of had a conversation with them, I've been assured it's showing up tomorrow. Didn't hurt me too much today because we had so much rain last night. You have to have a solid foundation to put the blocks on.
Well,
Uh,
every time I came, there was nobody working. And I came 5 different times and I kept thinking I'll catch somebody working the project. And
Really?
I came during the day because I'm retired and there wasn't anybody here working and I found that
That's fascinating because I can show you, we give out daily logs,
okay,
daily that list all the workers and,
maybe they left before I came, maybe.
they work regular hours of 8-hour days. And I have 5 or 6 of my own guys working there every day, except for if it really dumps rain, I'm not gonna make them work in the rain. And then Next Level's been out there and they have a crew of about, on average, they got a crew of about 8 guys that have been pouring all the concrete. We got all the concrete stairs poured, the stage is poured, all the curbs are poured.
Yeah, saw that.
The sidewalk here where the handicap parking and the sidewalk coming all the way down the front, we've acknowledged that we're going to move the electric issue down here to this side.
Mhm.
So it was actually supposed to be poured today, but last night kind of screwed us up. We're gonna try to get them out here tomorrow to get that poured. So
Okay, I appreciate you
yeah.
giving me the update because I was,
The electric is all inside the oval. All of the electric light bollards have been
I saw those.
installed. The electrical conduit is installed. It's driving me absolutely insane because the trench is still open because I can't backfill the trench until St. Louis County inspects it. And for some reason, because of all these storms, they keep putting me off, but it's ready to be inspected. The irrigation is here and the installers will be here tomorrow to go ahead and install the irrigation inside the oval. I'm trying to get all that finished up because I want to sod the oval as soon as humanly possible, because the oval, once I sod the oval, it cuts out a huge SWIP siltation runoff issue that
Yeah, because I think that's one of the things that you said you were gonna be working on that I noticed hadn't been done too, so.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking. And then my other question really is kind of along the lines of some of the comments that Mr. Krantz made, that last month I also heard that we needed to consider, do we move forward now? Do we hold based on budget and some of the finances? And should we look at doing it as a fundraiser and some of those options as part of the process? But what I'm hearing you now say is you feel like you have the money available to proceed.
Well, my recollection of the meeting is that obviously $319,000 as the original bid states is a lot of money to restore a cabin that I'll have limited use, but obviously it'll have a great community impact. So what I heard was, instead of us trying to manage these projects solely on capital improvement funds, isn't there a way we can draw the community toward these projects and have them embrace it and participate? And certainly that's something we're going to be talking about for probably the rest of the year. Melanie's going to talk here shortly about the fundraising for the all-inclusive playground, which is a priority of the committee when we decided to move forward with phase 2. So I guess there's only so much funding out there. And from the department's perspective, I think the all-inclusive playground is more important right now. The cabin will draw some people to Village Green and Town Center. The all-inclusive playground will draw a lot of people to Village Green and Town Center. And we're using that as an economic development tool as well. So in terms of priorities, if we're going to go out and ask the community and beyond for funds to help us do a project that needs to be done for a lot of reasons, I think it should be the all-inclusive playground. It's not to say that future projects, once we set up a program or a process, we won't do this, but I think right now, trying to do Celebrate Wildwood, where we're asking for sponsorship from our local businesses, the cabin and all-inclusive playground, I just don't think there'll be enough to go around.
Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Hutchin.
So we're asking for donations for the all-inclusive playground?
Well, Unlimited Play as part of their proposal, and there's no charge for this. They'll create documentation for each piece of equipment that's going to be in the all-inclusive playground. And offer it to philanthropists, others to basically pay for it or donate it. There may be some naming rights, there may be some kind of plaque, something that recognizes that donation. But they've done this on other playground facilities in the region and across the United States, and they claim to have great success at it. And so
There-
they,
I'm sorry.
no, please.
There are grants that you can get, and you can get it for specific playground pieces. Because, and it's a process, it's not an easy grant to do, because I've done them before for school, right? And a lot of times the Lion Clubs will sponsor it, but there's a over umbrella organization that will help you if you submit the grant, and then they have certain groups that will decide if they want to contribute to it or not. So you could get one entity or two entities or whatever to contribute to it. So that might be something to look into.
Yes, and.
But my point last time was, I mean, is the Essen Cabin is not the key focal point of Village Green. You're right. The playground is. So I'm having a hard time saying, you know, we can pay what, $299,000 to put the cabin together, but we're gonna have to go out and fundraise for the playground equipment. So why don't we just switch that from one to the other? I mean, and let the community be part of the cabin. It's not something that is essential to the Village Green. I mean, and will the Essence, are they willing to donate some money to make this happen?
So won't the Essen Log Cabin be a considerable amount less expensive than the playground equipment?
Gosh, yes.
Less than probably a quarter.
Sure.
A quarter of it, okay.
Yeah,
Playground is, actually, I'm working on getting the price list because
Mhm.
as I've mentioned, Unlimited Play has a relationship with Little Tykes Commercial. They're holding the price despite now almost, I guess, 18 months since we first talked about it and the tariffs at what we originally were quoted. So I'll actually be bringing to this committee probably in June that purchase order, so to speak, so we can get that done and save ourselves some money.
my point is just that that's a key figure, and we're gonna go fundraise for that instead of taking the money from the cabin and putting it into the playground, but then why can't we fundraise for the cabin?
And what I will say is the committee has complete control over the allocation of priorities relative to projects and the funds for them. If this is, Essen Log Cabin isn't something that you feel strongly needs to be completed this year, I certainly understand. But I will just fall back on again that we've been talking about it now for 10+ years. The last couple of years, we've really kind of been out in the community talking about its reassembly, the benefits it'll bring, the commitment it shows of the city to historic preservation, et cetera. So there'll be a group that'll be disappointed if it doesn't happen this year or in subsequent years. But I guess from the perspective of the department, I'm here to, if you say we want to switch that money or save that money, I understand. Mr. Lee's painted a somewhat bleak picture.
Mr. Rambo.
Yeah, we do have sunk costs in the cabin, and you said we're gonna lose the logs. Those are factors. The 10-year thing, it's been several councils and several of these committees and so on and so forth that have all thought this was a worthwhile enterprise, and I'd hate to bag it. But my main question on that point is, we were supposedly bouncing against a dollar limit for the Village Green in terms of federal money or something. I didn't really understand it, but we had a ceiling. Does the cabin count against that ceiling just as the Unlimited Play facility does? Or is the cabin a separate project because it predates Village Green and it's just a different sort of thing.
From the department's perspective, it's in Village Green, so it's part of the overall cost.
Okay.
We're a little over $4 million in terms of what we can spend in Village Green.
Uh-huh.
Again, remember, that's city taxpayer money that's addressed by that charter provision. So we've been fortunate, Ms. Ripito has been able to get us almost $1.2 million in grant funding.
Uh-huh.
So we're under that amount. So even if we do unlimited play, phase one of Village Green and the cabin, we won't exceed the amount that's set in the charter.
And we could potentially, is that like a cable stayed structure or something, the cheaper ones you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, and we could
Budgeted for
potentially do
next year.
the shade thing and still be under the ceiling, right? Especially since we're doing restrooms as part of the unlimited play thing.
And again, we've $1.2 million out of grants. And if the fundraising is successful as Unlimited Play has portrayed it to us, we'll also be slowly but surely taking that price down as we go along.
Well, that's great, saving
And
money,
an
but I just
additional
wanna make
grant
sure we can get everything
potential.
done. So.
Especially with the handicap components.
Yes, the cabin work. Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, you can build a whole house for 300 grand, you're exactly right, but this is kind of the difference between buying a fender at the auto parts store and putting it on an old car, or hammering out a fender and making the whole damn thing just, look like it used to be. So the costs are, I can see the value, I can see the $300,000 because it's manual labor and it's specialized manual labor. The windows won't fit, this and that sort of thing. So I'm not appalled by this. I don't have sticker shock on that particular item like I generally do. But we have to decide whether we're gonna let 10 years of inertia die on this cabin, because if we don't do it now, it's the logs, as Joe suggested, are gonna rot. So I think it's worth doing.
How many logs
I'd
do we
like to
have?
say- to say
What's that?
something.
How many logs do we have?
We got enough for there's
How many?
picture, you guys
Do we
got
know?
pictures.
Oh, and we have 3 large pallets full, stacked probably about 6 feet high.
So you got like 40 or 50, right?
Actually,
You
You
have
got
a
4
picture.
walls, you got 4.
He's got the
Yeah, I got
4
the walls,
walls.
okay.
He doesn't have, as he said earlier, he does
Doesn't.
not have the windows.
But it's a
He
second
doesn't
story
have the
cabin.
roof.
No, it's just one.
But there's a staircase.
Well, there is, but it's like a
loft.
little loft.
It's a
Yeah, yeah,
loft
yeah, yeah.
area.
It's just
Okay.
looks like.
All right.
If I might say something, could I
Keep
You're
talking.
the chair.
say
I was
something
just
right
gonna
now?
follow up on what he said, so.
I think we are to some degree nitpicking without a whole lot of experience on some of this stuff. And we've been given information about the log cabin. We've been given information about the updates needed in the park. We've been given information about the inclusive play, long-term project. And while I know we've got concerns about overspending on things, I personally think that if this is gonna be our main city gathering place for our events and other activities, that we need to invest in it properly as we go along, obtaining grants for different portions of it where we can, and then reaching out to the community. If we're reaching out to the community, my question to Mr. Vunich and Ms. Ripito is, if we build it and they come, can we still reach out to the community to help offset those costs?
If I may,
Yes.
my understanding was, with Unlimited Play, that, even after the playground is built, they have on their website, like, in progress or completed, but I think that you can leave the donation component open, and or naming components. And so, up until it's constructed, it offsets the cost for the city at the end of the day, because they take the funding directly And so the city wouldn't have to deal with it at all. But yes, I think I would have to confirm, but it is my understanding. I
Having
believe that-
worked with other nonprofit organizations in buildings such as St. Louis Community College, it's been my understanding, and I have done work with them where we go ahead and move forward with the project at the same time that we are asking for donations from the community or from benefactors in various places. And it's amazing how you can get additional funding once you have a few things out there for them to physically see and begin to touch. Suddenly, additional funding becomes available. So
Especially with
I would
naming
hope that we would
rights.
not, I would hope we would not continue moving forward with getting the cabin done. Over concerns for a budget, especially when we've had the department indicate that they have located portions within the current budget cycle that we would be able to pay for this.
Could I say one thing real quick, just so you guys, it's not,
Certainly.
I'm just giving you an idea,
Mhm.
but I worked it up for the math that you were speaking about. And there's been 32,740 pavers put down so far. You have 32,740 naming rights, not including all
Yeah.
of, well, I'm just telling you, I
You
mean,
do.
my company is going to, for Mayor's Grove, you have all of those that we don't even have those in yet. And then the walkway going up to the log cabin is all pavers also. And I was already going to approach after I got done, because I'm gonna be proud of this whole thing. I want Bombshell Construction to have a paver,
Mhm.
and it costs a little bit of money, but you can take them out with suction cups and name them and then put them right back in and place them. And you have thousands upon thousands of, you know,
It sounds like you're a future donor.
I live in Wildwood. I mean, I live here. I want my name on that. I'm glad to be a donor for something like that. And that's all I'm saying is, I mean, it may be, get your name on a block for
Yeah.
$500 or $100 or whatever it is, and you'll be immortalized in
Which we're
Village
gonna go
Green.
over and
Take 32,000 times 100, you pay for the whole park.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's just been said that if we don't use the logs, that they're gonna rot. So if we build this cabin, then are they gonna rot?
Well, they'll be treated once we get the cabin in place. What I'm saying is they're stacked, they're faced toward the elements, and it's just the bugs and everything. So it's not that they're gonna fall apart immediately if they stay in storage. It's just each year we notice that the ends of them are getting more frayed. So from the department's perspective, it's not as dire as maybe I described it, but it's just the longer we wait, the less likely we are to be successful. And the more we wait, and if we were to do it, we're using less and less of probably the original material. So I guess it's just from a historic preservation perspective, the more of the original logs we can use, the better. And project either needs to be moved forward or not.
I'll make that motion to move forward.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
Mr. Rambo seconds. Could we take a vote, please? Do we need to do an individual vote, or? I don't know. We can do an all-inclusive vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain.
Abstain.
Thank you.
Can I just say
Passes.
something really quickly to Deb, please?
And this would be with Bombshell, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure, we never said that name.
This might help. If you have 6 logs laying there and 6 more on top and 6 more on top, the moisture and the bugs in that assembly is what causes the deterioration. When you stack them up, it's dry on this side, and you've got the joints in between, I forget what they call it, the mortar.
The mortar in between.
It's something else,
It's all
but
protecting
the
it.
chinking, yeah. And they can withstand the elements for 100 years. Whereas if you have them laying there, it really causes deterioration. So maybe that helps you understand what's going on with them.
Is
Well,
your
that,
house,
that does help, but my perspective is I think playground's more important.
We can do both, so.
I think we need a railroad caboose too.
We need a what?
A railroad caboose,
I
like
really
most
think the
parts.
cabin-
Actually, that
No.
would be
See, the
cool.
kids would love
I
that.
could get one probably.
The cabin's gonna be a focal.
Union Pacific.
Yeah.
We
The
used to
kids
work
would
for
love
Frisco.
that.
Okay, so
I don't know, I think it
Do we
seems
have
like a
any-
good idea.
do we have any other questions for our guest? We've
I was just gonna,
closed
if you guys
it.
want me to stick around for Village Green, like, do you have questions about Village Green? Do you want me to?
I don't think so.
I feel like it's looking good.
I think
myself.
Okay,
fine.
Go home and have dinner.
okay,
Go ahead.
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
okay, that's okay with the committee.
Still drinking coffee?
We will move back up to the park matters and start with item number 1. Is that okay? Mr. Vunich, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, members of the committee, as you know, when we began the discussions relating to the all-inclusive playground, Natalie McKay, the owner of Unlimited Play, makes comments relative to our existing facilities. Not necessarily negative comments, but just that in a period of time from their construction, primarily starting in 2006 till now, many changes have come to equipment, accessibility requirements and standards. And not in all instances has the city kept up with them because again, there is no mandate to do such. So the thought was on the committee at the time, we may not be able to address all of them, but it would be nice to know through an audit of our playground facilities, what needs to be done. Unlimited Play over the course of a number of months was able to basically complete that audit. And the results of the audit are in a report that's been prepared by Unlimited Play. In one of our last meetings, it was asked that we do a chart that kind of indicates the location, which in this case begins with Anniversary Park, begins with the trailhead at LeCade, John L. LeCade Memorial Trailhead. And the items that have been identified in the analysis are audits completed by Unlimited Play. And they talk about playground surfacing, other surfacing, primarily concrete walks and walkways, pathways and aprons around the table and other play areas, audible descriptions on the trail corridors themselves, communication boards, swings, other equipment, sensory-friendly areas, etc. The report did have, in association with some of the items at some of the locations, the cost. So that was added to the chart as well. And as you can see, the playground surfacing to make it, let's say, more friendly is the most expensive charge. And then from there, it varies. Some are relatively inexpensive in terms of today's cost for things. And on the other side of the coin, some, if we actually did competitive bidding and put them in a package instead of individual locations, we might be able to even find greater savings. So tonight, the department is presenting the results of the audit. We would like to hear your feedback on what you think might be priorities. And then as part of the upcoming, back up there. Through your efforts, we are reallocating $15,000 from community development block grant funds per the direction of the Office of Community Development toward accessibility improvements in Community Park. So from that perspective, the department would like to have something to you in June recommending what it would like, but it would certainly want to hear from you tonight if you have a particular area. And then as part of our budgeting process, which will start here in a few months, present some thoughts on the possible accessibility improvements in a few other locations. We won't be able to do them all. So the idea is maybe chip away at the things we can do over the course of a number of years. Thank you.
Mr. Ottenbrook.
Maybe I should know this, but I don't. I know we've discussed in the past that one of the priorities would be upgrading the child changing tables in the various restrooms. To me, that's a priority in all of the parks. I mean, if we have to delay some of the other items, I could see doing that, but before we worry about doing anything else, I don't want to see any children having to lay on the floor of a restroom.
That would be, I didn't put it as, but if that's the bathroom one,
It's like,
and they identified
I know, I
all
was
of
just
the Bluffy Park, so you don't have a facility.
Okay.
Why don't I get a copy of that?
Sure.
Why wouldn't I get a copy tonight? Where would I see that? I can't talk on it. I don't know where it's,
Well,
I didn't get a copy, so. I don't know what I'm
certainly
doing.
from this point forward, we'll make a paper copy for you
Okay.
of all of the reports.
That's what I've been talking about.
I apologize, the committee had decided to use the QR code.
Yeah.
Again,
All right.
Did they give you a pad, Jim?
did you get an iPad?
I don't have a pad,
Yeah.
Well,
I
it's
use
hard
my
to,
own.
that's hard
but
to read.
Colleen's working on it. I got called out last night, so I'm trying to get on board. So we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, and certainly you can have,
That's all right. I'll just listen. That's all.
Can I follow up on my question? With the baby changing tables, is that,
Part
what-
of this, because I don't see it.
yeah, where is that? Is that reflected in this cost under bathrooms on the chart?
yes,
So would the full cost of upgrading the baby changing tables be roughly $20,000? Or does that cover other items in the bathrooms?
well, and again, I'm using the audit results from Unlimited Play, but
Okay,
we've removed the facility at La Cave because of damage,
Right.
vandalism. At Glencoe, I don't think it'll fit there in that permanent restroom facility. It's jam-packed in there already with all the mechanicals. So Old Pond School, that would be inside the building, Green Pines, Glencoe City Park, Community Park, and Anniversary Park. So take those five, multiply it generally by anywhere from 5 to 10,000. So on the upside, 50, on the low side, 25,000.
okay.
And we have $15,000 to at least address community parks bathroom facility.
So $5,000 per changing table? Is that what you're saying?
That just seems
For
to
an
me the
adult
general.
changing table.
But if we have 15 grand, wouldn't we have enough to do more than just community park?
Well, the Office of Community Development wanted us to pick one location.
150, I guess.
Yeah, and the 15,000, we thought community park, because there's other projects in there relative to the communication boards, things along those lines that we thought we might be able to implement as well.
And what do they mean by communication boards?
Those are they're attached to sort of railing or other improvements, and you can move things around.
Oh, okay.
They have stories, things like that. I'm not an expert on this by any stretch.
Well,
of
we
the
had that at
imagination.
Green Pines.
Yeah, exactly.
But I didn't know what they were meaning by that term. So,
Who does the work then?
We bid the work.
You just bid it out, okay.
so what's the total cost if we do everything?
Well, just to do Old Pond School, that's $325,000. Add in the resurfacing, that's around $100,000 on 4 other parks. So we're getting close to $1 million just on surfacing.
So it'd take quite a while to use the
Mhm.
community development grant funds to make a
Most we
dent.
get is $25,500 a year. So,
Is that all we're getting now?
yeah, because we don't,
Didn't we used to get more than that? No?
it's always been that amount. That's the minimum amount, I'm told, because we don't have any low to moderate income areas.
Yeah.
But if we're trying to upgrade for handicapped children, you would think they would give us more money.
It has to do with the,
I know what it has to do
Income.
with, but I think if you made a pitch, you might walk away with some more.
Mr. Rainville.
Yeah, so, Joe, can you describe the current surface, play surface, typical play surface as versus the new stuff? Because I guess the new stuff is that rubberized, almost flooring, but kids have been falling down in the grass forever, and I'm struggling with that particular cost because that's a lot of money.
And do we get injuries? Have we had injuries over this?
Definitely not.
So what's the big deal, I guess?
So I guess from an accessibility standpoint, those that have certain challenges, obviously they fall more often. And so from that perspective, we're trying to address it through this audit. And there are portions of the community park playground that aren't the soft rubberized surface. So over by the swing sets on those. south
Yeah, I
And
guess.
so their position was finish it. And that's what they're basically.
Yeah, unlimited funds, finish it, but we can take the 80-20 approach and do the changing stations and the things that seem important to us because we're building a fully accessible, gorgeous new facility. And if folks are limited to that for the time being, then I don't feel too bad about that personally, you know, and I'm a help every kid, you know, reaches his or her potential. So that's just my take.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Real quickly, I just wanted to double check. What's the cost that we spend on mulch in each of these parks each year?
It was in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Okay, so
Because
50,000 between all the parks probably?
Yeah. Because there's a couple
Okay.
things, we get special mulch that's been treated, so it doesn't create like rashes or.
Yeah, allergic reactions from the kids and everything, so, okay.
And the little bitty kids stick in their
Then
mouth.
We can look at the playground surfacing component as part of next year's budget and see if we want to pick one that possibly we can do it. But for right now, I think the concurrence was working on the restroom issue for everyone. Do we need to take a vote on that or?
If you would, then I'll get started on it. Yeah, I'll get started.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Deb. And if you could go ahead. Aye. Opposed? Abstain. I'm sorry, I'm just watching Miss Ripito write really diligently, so I was trying to fire some
appreciate it,
time
thank
there.
Keeping you busy, Mel.
We're 3 for 3.
Joe, is there anything else on this particular topic that we need to go over? Is there anything else on this topic that we need to go over?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So moving on to the next topic. That would be Joe's Pickleball Court. That's what we need to name it, Joe's Pickleball Court.
What's that?
Madam Chair, thank you. Madam Chair and members of the committee, this particular item was presented to you over a series of meetings at the start of the year as the project relative to the apartment complex and the improvements associated with that was also moving in a parallel track. As we got closer to the point where we were in a position to bid for the pickleball courts, we also had the cost concerns rise with the Route 100 safety improvements and the Old State Road resurfacing with the high friction surface. The department recognized that there's a lot of moving parts to our capital improvements program in 2025. So it brought this to the committee and asked the committee, do we want to proceed given all of the things that are happening around us relative to the funding we have available for this fiscal year? The committee did not want to necessarily make the decision that same night, but asked, could we get another cost estimate and see if it's more expensive or the same or less expensive? Mr. Keitel was asked to provide that cost estimate because he is working on a system of pickleball courts up in the city of Florissant. And not to anyone's surprise, got more expensive. And the numbers that are on page 2 do not include another $30,000 per se. But make a long story short, project has gotten more expensive over time. Situation relative to our capital improvements program necessarily improved. The question is just before you begin, is it something we want to proceed forward with the bidding for 2025, or is it something that we will see? Thank you.
Ms. McCutcheon?
Yeah, so I've had some concerns all along since it was moved from the park. You know that, over to the site. I heard you talking about the decimal sounds that the court would make. Can you go over that?
Well, what we're seeing, a little bit of background, I'll do as quickly as I can. What the department is witnessing over the course of the last year or so is that many people on the larger lot areas in the city are starting to install pickleball courts. And a lot of the research that we have uncovered and investigated indicates that consistently that's an issue because of the sound of the paddle and ball. I guess the ball is fairly hard and the paddle and the ball on the surface make a lot of noise. So the most recent one that the Planning and Zoning Commission acted upon, we required some sound mitigation efforts. So we're in the middle of town center, which for all intents and purposes is probably the best location in some regards, but we are in close proximity to several subdivisions. And so from the perspective of the department, we've asked as part of the plan development to address as best as possible the noise component. There's not much you can do other than a solid wall, which we didn't do because of cost. But all in all, we're cognizant of the noise associated with it. And that's one of the reasons we didn't initially show lighting as part of it. It'd be more of a daytime activity and not a nighttime activity. So all in all, it's a popular, very popular sport. A lot of people that live in Wildwood ask about it on probably a weekly, monthly basis. Again, though, I just recognize that we've got a lot of challenges we didn't anticipate at the start of the year. Road improvements that obviously the state of Missouri has imposed upon us, things like that. So I just want to make sure, I don't want to go to get bids and then come back and then, that's just a difficult process because the contractors spend time on the bidding process and I'd prefer to tell them we're not going to do it, but we're going to wait and then move back. The plans will be applicable regardless of what time.
But we already have plans.
Yes.
That's what he was saying.
And so, my other concern is the developers come forward with many, many projects for that area. None of them has come to fruition. So what is the likelihood that this is going to move forward? I mean, can you even guess that? I mean,
Well, in conversations with Mia Rose, the multiple family developer in Greenberg Development, Mr. Cohen and Mr. Greenberg, a lot of the funding has been pledged. As you know, they're asking for a sales tax exemption for construction materials and then some relief to the property tax as the project goes from construction to first initial leasing and then over the course of the next 9 to 10 years. So is it going to happen? My inclination is yes, because I used the same gauge I used with Prime Place. I'm still receiving plans. They basically submitted a check for $47,000 for the bond counsel, Gilmore and Bell, to basically prepare the information necessary for the application for the Chapter 100. So they're investing money into the project still. And from my perspective, I see that as the project's moving forward. There was a point at Prime Place where it just went silent. And that's when obviously you as the city council started to wonder what is going on and why is the trailer there? It's never opened, those kinds of things. So I don't see any of those telltale signs. But I was an advocate for Prime Place because I was told it was moving forward. I'm an advocate for this because I think it could be a benefit to our downtown district. But as I say, I know Mia Rose, they have many projects underway. They don't start projects and not finish them. So that's the factor that's maybe a little different this time around. They are a well-known multiple family developer.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'll just make my comment right now, and that is, I have concerns for the residents who live around, who would be in that area. And then, I mean, I have been asked for years, why doesn't the city have pickleball courts? So I wouldn't get reelected at this point, but I can understand, given the budget, why we might decide to wait on that project. And if a developer is going to give us money, then when they get further down their project, their project to completion, and then if they want to give us money, or if we have money at that point, and put it back in the budget. I mean, and I'm not exaggerating, everybody I've talked to wants it in community park. They don't want it
They want
as
it
part of this.
community park.
They want it community
I think
park.
that's a place to put it myself.
Okay. But if we need to save money somewhere, then I'm okay
Mr.
not
Rottenberg.
having those. And you know how long I've been talking about those.
Director Vunich, regarding sound mitigation for a proposed pickleball court down here, you mentioned noise. I'm not sure we came to a conclusion on the sound mitigation. Are you recommending that if they are constructed, there has to be some type of sound mitigation that is constructed along with it? Or are you saying that we don't need it, but the noise may be an issue?
I don't know if the noise will be an issue, Mr. Rottenberg, because at this stage, I don't know if it'll be washed out, so to speak, by traffic on Taylor Road,
Yes.
Manchester. We have a pretty substantial distance to the first set of residences and the manors at the Meadows of Cherry Hills. So what we've done to date is we dropped the elevation. It caused a little more grading on the site, but we dropped the elevation of the pickleball courts. So as we trying to tamp them down, so to speak, we moved all the landscaping up from the bottom of the slope on the south side of the pickleball courts up next to the pickleball courts. And the last step, and I haven't yet talked with the Stock and Associates, is actually instead of doing, let's say, a solid wall, weaving in some type of, it's a chain link fence, vinyl coated chain link fence, weaving in some kind of slat system to at
Okay.
least help with some of the mitigation of sound. So we've made a couple of steps already. I think there's one more, and this would all be on the south side, because north it faces toward Deersburg,
Right.
east to Deersburg, and west toward the commercial area of downtown district.
Would there be any shrubbery or trees between the pickleball courts and Old Manchester?
Yes, we pushed it. They really first had it at the base of the slope or down toward Manchester Road. We moved it up to the edge of the pickleball courts, thinking the closer it is to the source of sound, the better.
And what
Plus
we're
it's
talking
higher.
about doing with this project is moving ahead with it, but budgeting for it for 2026. Is that what we're taking a look at?
We actually have funds this year. We have $500,000 set aside.
Okay,
But that was set aside at the end of 2024, not knowing we'd pay $700,000 more to the state of Missouri for Route 100 safety improvements, things like that. So I just want to be cautious, and I don't want you all to have to stand in the front of the rest of city council and say, yeah, we know we've got stress, but we want to do the pickleball courts, that kind of thing.
so I guess if you don't mind me just sort of wrapping up here, I guess I'm thinking sort of addressing several people's concerns here. The pickleball courts were intended originally to be part of the Greenberg Development Project. And the Greenberg Development Project, assuming it goes ahead, and that's a big assumption maybe at this point in time, since they were to be part of that Greenberg Development Project, that project is not going to be anywhere near completed until 2027, maybe?
18 months.
Yeah, so we can still do the pickleball courts at some point in time, we just don't have to do them right now, understanding, of course, that cost, materials and so on for that project would probably increase like it does for everything else. But I guess I'm sort of,
Plus you continue to have residents who have been asking for pickleball courts.
yeah,
Going, when are the pickleball courts getting here? I'm sorry, I'm gonna take Mr. Rambo
I was
next
just
and
gonna
then I'll
make a
get you, Mr. Krantz.
Yeah, I supported the hard surface play courts from the very beginning. And I'm sold on them as a community resource and benefit. Community park, I was opposed to that location from the very beginning because the noise is obnoxious. It's pop, 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 pop. And it's constant, and it's all about context for me. If it's in the city center, people going into Deerberg's here, oh yeah, there's activity over here. People are having fun and whatnot. And if it's in community park, people are trying to picnic and so on and so forth. And the pickleball court location, that the only one that was viable was there in the Great Meadow, which chews up some of the Great Meadow, but it's also right between our two picnic shelters and, you know, close against them. And so the noise would be, I'm not sure I don't know how much you guys have seen pickleball played, but the noise is obnoxious. And I wouldn't want to have a family picnic there with that kind of nonsense going on. I do think the town center location is great if we can make that happen. And I think town center is actually further from homes than the one in community park, because that other subdivision at the northwest corner of 109 and 100, I forget the name of it, Mystic something, maybe it's, yeah.
Windsor Crest.
Yeah, Windsor Crest. But those homes are very close, and they have a trail, and, you know, everybody walks down there and so on and so forth to community park. So it's really their park more than anything. But I would argue against trying to move the location back to community park on that basis alone. But if we can afford it, we probably ought to do it, because there's a lot of people that
I would.
want pickleball. So,
This is second, Mr. Krantz is next, but I want to make it just a quick. I concur with Mr. Rambo in that having that kind of noise level in that park is not an appropriate place. We have had citizens, as Ms. McCutcheon has said, want to come into town center. In our economic development committee meetings, we have talked about the benefit of having that pickleball court here during the daytime so that people will attend to lunch in the restaurants or dinner in the restaurants or in the area, maybe go shopping before or after. It draws people in. And so we also have a current resident of Wildwood who is donating that property to the city so that we can build the pickleball court. Mr. Krantz.
Pop. I mean, I had a condo up in Iowa, and there was a pickleball court. I didn't bother me, but I think that's an argument next year. I like to make a motion just to postpone this until 2026, so we could do all the fine tuning then, like Scott
Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
said that, you know, this is, if they build it, our apartment, it's 18 months. So there's no need to spend our money this year.
Yeah. I second that.
I would have a request of the department. I don't know if now's the time to say it, but can you,
Go ahead and say it.
can you get us some data or some information or certainly some tangible data concerning the noise level of a community pickleball court as opposed to one that belongs to a condo association, which might not have as.
Well, you'll be next to an apartment complex too.
I'm sorry?
Won't that pickleball be next to the coast?
That's the apartment folks' problem. I'm not concerned with new people moving in because they know what they're getting. I'm concerned with the people that actually live there already and don't, you know, suddenly.
I really don't have an opinion on it yet, where to build it. It makes sense to build it downtown. I agree. Draw people down here. But
So my question was, Joe, can you provide that data as the next time this subject comes up? please?
Mr. Dewberry has already done some extensive research. I think we have some pretty good information on it.
What's your impression? Am I all wet or is that reasonably accurate?
Community Park was a selection that the department endorsed because we owned the ground.
Uh-huh.
And it was in the center of the park away from residential areas. I concur, moving it over here just brings another thing into town center that makes people want to come here. And the more people we get here, the better it is for everybody.
So is the motion on the table that we postpone this for 2026, for just
27?
discussion of the 2026 budget, and determine at that point, as we're doing our budget discussions coming up, whether that pickleball court moves into 2026 or it continues to be postponed until 2027.
Didn't you say
Is that your
24?
motion?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
To 26.
To 26.
Scott, didn't you say?
26.
Well, I said potentially. Jim's proposal was to delay it to 2026.
Yeah, not
And
this
by
year.
that time, we will know the status of the Greenberg
Right.
Development Project, et cetera.
And more about more about
Location.
what the economy's doing. and
Yeah.
what it costs.
I mean, we could conceivably in 2026 take another vote and delay it if we think it's necessary.
Right.
I understand what you're saying, but from the perspective of a resident,
Yeah,
I think that may not fly as well. I think if you're gonna back it up, you should back it up to 27. And then if you have the funding, then go ahead and do it. I think that they're getting tired of being put off with like the basketball thing and the tennis court and now pickleball thing.
well, that's
So-
the reason for doing it in 2026.
I know, I understand what you're saying. And then my last comment is, the residents own this city. We work for them. So when we have a lot of residents who are saying they want this type of facility in the community park, I think we should listen to them. They elect us, we work for them. That's what the residents want, then that's what we should do. I don't understand, I mean, everybody has their own perspective, but we don't know for a fact how many people have picnics by that pavilion or by the other pavilion and how much impact that would really make. We don't know that.
But I asked for that data, but we do know how many people reserve the pavilions. And I have personally never been asked about a pickleball. court.
Oh, I have been for years, not pickleball. I have for the basketball and the
I've
tennis
never
court.
been asked about it either.
I repeatedly have been asked for that for years, the basketball courts and the tennis courts.
Yes, Mr. Rottenberg,
So
let's bring some control back.
Yes.
into this.
I would just say that, so I know where you're coming from, Deb, in terms of residents asking for it in community park. I think we did take a vote to move it to the town center area.
I wasn't here when you did that.
I've had a number of excuse me,
Residents.
a number of residents, been a long day, a number of residents ask about pickleball courts. When I tell them that we're constructing them in town center, no one has had a problem with that. One or two people did say, well, I heard they were going to be constructed in community park. And when I explained to them that, yes, they were, but we felt that it would be better positioned in town center to draw people into town center, they're okay with it. So you may have had a different experience than I have, but that's been my experience so far.
Yeah,
I
I had
also
a very
have-
different experience.
I've also had residents who said community park needs to be quieter.
I mean, that was the whole premise for community park in the first place,
okay.
was active, not passive.
Question, right? There you go.
Mr. Kranz,
Let's just vote on it, I guess. Call the
Okay.
question. Yeah.
we had a motion
In a second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain.
Thank you.
Still on page.
Okay. So we've gotten through 1 and 2. We've got the sculpture on the move program that Ms. Ripito is prepared to go over. If we can have a discussion on that one.
Yeah, bid on this one.
Yes, I know.
Just-
There they
She's
are.
playing dual role here, so
Okay,
secretary and presenting.
Yes.
all right.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. I don't know how familiar you are with the Sculpture on the Move program, but it is a program that the city used to participate in and stopped, I think, last year was 2023. The Sculpture on the Move program is offered by the Creative Communities Alliance. Essentially, it was designed to make it easier for artists to work with organizations such as municipal and nonprofits and such in order to bring art into the community. And so it was intended to streamline this process and get artists in contact with the actual organizations. And it's a fun program. And so participating communities, they facilitate the installation of public art on a temporary basis. It's a 2-year term. And the city's actually signed the contract with the artist for that 2-year term. The art has to remain on, it remains on display, but it's also for sale the entire time. So it helps the artist out as well. And at the end of the 2 years, the city can opt to purchase it, choose a different sculpture, not participate in the program. So there's no commitment beyond the 2-year term. And or switch it out with another, like participate in the program again that year. So the city, you might recall these 2 installations were here, I believe in 2023. The Purple Twist was out front and then the Cactus was in the back by the garden. And so these typically the cities choose like 5 of their favorites and it's kind of a draft program where they draw which city goes first and then you get to pick your first selection and then so on, similar to sports teams. And so hopefully you get your first selection, but maybe not. And so typically that happens in February and then the art is installed in April or May. So the city has missed the window for that. You need to commit by December. However, we reached out to the program and they still had sculptures that hadn't been chosen. And so they sent us a bunch of sculptures that hadn't been chosen. And we narrowed it down to, I think it was 20 or so upstairs and just put them on the wall and took a vote within the department, well, the entirety of the city team, and narrowed it down to 5 sculptures. Oh, there it is. Which I have all here. And so this evening, the city is, or the department is looking for a little bit of guidance as far as this program is concerned. Is this something that we would like to participate in? And if so, we can still get a sculpture and it would still put us relatively in place to participate in 2 years. So we could get one for the front of City Hall this year, and it's just signing a contract with the artist and we'd arrange it so that the display would be moved if we participated again 2 years from now. And then next year, the city could actually participate the way that you're supposed to participate for the art.
You can buy a
installation.
statute, one of those statutes for sale, is it?
So all the statues are actually for sale.
Okay.
We would kind of be renting them through this program and then the city would have the option to purchase it, but so would anybody else that came along and saw
What is
it.
the cost? Because the sale price was like 7,000-8,000 for most of those pieces that I saw.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so it's $1,000 a year to participate. And so it'd be a 2-year contract. So it'd be $2,000 per sculpture. This one, we were thinking of starting with the sculpture out front and then potentially do the one in the back. And so essentially the department is looking for guidance as to whether we'd like to bring this program back. And if we would, do we want to do that now and reach out to one of these artists? I narrowed it down to 5 because we don't know if the art is still available because they might have gone through a different
So
program or sold
are these
it.
moved around to city to city now? So how long would we have one of those statutes?
2 years.
And
Yeah.
and then in 2 years, we get a different one.
After the 2 years, we can choose to purchase it or we can swap it out with another one and participate in the program again.
For another.
And so they would pick up theirs and then the next contracted artist would
It's
bring
$7,000 or
theirs.
$8,000?
It's, well, just to rent them, like essentially.
You know, how much?
Oh, yeah, just the sculptures vary quite a bit. And, yeah, the ones that
So a
were,
typical rent, 2 years.
yeah.
$2,000.
Yeah, $1,000 a year for 2
Okay.
years, so it'd be
Correct.
2,000, correct, is what I read.
So would what, wanna buy one
1,000 a
probably?
year.
Well, and we can opt to buy one, or we can continue to participate year after year, and a lot of cities have multiple sculptures in different locations.
Do we have any money for it?
We do, indeed.
How much?
It's $1,000 per year, so it would be $1,000 every year. And then if we participated next year and had one in back as well, then it would be $1,000 per sculpture. So it'd be $2,000 a year, if we went with more than one sculpture.
Are these local artists or is it more global? I didn't see that one. You know, are they local artists or is it more global?
So it's both, yeah, it is, some people are from out of state, it usually tells you where they're from on there, and so you can choose local.
Mr. Rambo.
Some of them were gonna kind of deliver, they were willing to deliver and so on and so forth. But it goes, just to be clear, it goes on a cycle. Like if we got one year, we get one here, back here the next year, and then we change this one out the following year and change this one out.
So it's every year,
Yeah, so it's every other year.
every other year.
Yeah, for, it would be every other year in that sense.
Every
right?
other year per sculpture, but we would participate every year if we had one in
Right,
front and
right.
one in back.
And that was very cool. Those sculptures were.
I
really
liked
cool.
art.
I think it's just a great idea.
So do they last? I mean, they're iron or
Yeah,
Yes.
welded.
they'll be there forever?
Welded, and the cost is cheap. So you know, we can talk all we want, but I'd like to make a motion that we would let the
I'll
Art
second,
proceed
I'll
with that.
second it.
I'll second.
just two cheats a
Okay.
bargain.
So we have a motion by Mr. Rambo.
Second by Mr. Kranz.
Okay.
You
second
think it'd
by
be that
Fran.
easy, huh?
Trying to make some
I was
money
hoping it would be
here.
that easy. I would also like to seek guidance if you have any preferences when I reach out to them as to the first, second. We narrowed it down to 5, so
Take the
just in
ball.
case, the top 2 here, so
Right.
this one and the flower over here, those were the top 2 choices within
Yeah, yeah.
city staff. And then the others were runners up. But if you would like to provide guidance as to which ones you would like to see or don't want to see,
City
I'd be
staff,
happy to cross those
they can
off.
pick. I'd be for the city staff to pick one.
Or you could put the flower out back and do the back.
I think it'd be more
First.
fun to do it every other year, that way.
No,
we
I agree.
participate
I'm
next year.
saying the flower the first year because people will be coming to look at the village green and stuff anyway. And the flower belongs back there where our garden is the only, that's my thinking.
Well, there doesn't get
Yeah.
a whole lot of view back in the
No.
garden.
Right, I think waiting until the park gets more finished and there's more
Aren't we gonna start using it? in
visibility.
September?
Because the last one, as you can see from the drawing or from the photo here, there was one out here
Uh-huh.
so that it was a long
Purple one?
Yeah,
Main
purple
Street
mist.
kind of thing, so that people could see that as it was, they were going by.
And this one is lit also.
Yeah,
To that
it's
piece
a
here.
little, it's only, but it's only about this
Yeah,
big
it's not
around.
very tall. I think it's like 3 feet or so.
Do we have power at those locations? Those
They
two
use
pads?
solar power lighting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ms. McCutcheon.
Oh geez, I lost my train of thought. No, what I was gonna say was the one in the back, I don't think really got viewed enough.
Didn't it?
I don't think so. I mean, people worked in the community garden, I think saw it. Well, I don't think anybody else knew it was really back there. And I really like the thought if maybe at some point we could put it in the village green
Sure.
Mhm.
rather than just out here, so.
Could make a pad for it now while he's.
The 2 kids up there, that circles.
I don't disagree with Deb, but I just, I saw the flower and I thought, here's our garden and people will be parking in the parking lot for Village Green. And I figured it'd get seen, but you're probably right. The best place to do it is out here on the corner.
Mr. Rottenberg.
So
In the eye of the beholder.
I would favor top 2, flower and the couple. To me, both are sort of indicative of
Boy,
what
that
we're doing
girl.
here in Wildwood.
Okay.
But here's a silly question I have. Why can't they both be out front?
I mean, they could theoretically. We have a concrete, I think we have a space installed, for it deliberately. And so we could essentially have both of them out front. Or we could have one here and one in Community Park. Like, it doesn't really matter. The agreement that we have to make is that it's in a place that's, visible and, so the artist also gets recognized as well. And so, yeah, and that's kind of part of the reason we were thinking out front this year, because then we can kind of figure out what we want to do in the back of the building with the park and everything
Community
next
park.
year.
Where would be the
Yeah.
other spot out in front? Cause I know where the one was down in the
Uh-huh.
corner. Would it be like closer to the door or what would we do?
One of the sculptures out front at a time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So.
And we're
Mr.
only
Attenborough
getting
was saying,
one this
why
next
not
year.
Two out front.
No, I'm asking where the second location would be out front.
Actually, I would say that if we ended up with two sculptures, we would balance them at either end, and as soon as Village Green is ready, move it over there.
Yeah.
Oh,
uh-huh.
that's a great idea.
But we're only getting one sculpture this year, correct?
That was the thought.
So we don't have to worry about that until next year.
Okay.
So let's move our discussion back to, do we want to make a
Thank you, ma'am.
recommendation on which currently on the floor is the two people and the flower, the top level ones? Does anybody else have any?
Well, I'd like to know the size of the relative size of the other two. You can kind of see with.
So the flower is about 9 feet tall, says 9 by 4 by 3. The people, it looks like
Peeps.
is 7.5 feet by 3 feet by 2 feet. And I think the artist will work with you on color, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
They
that's what
showed
it
a green
said.
one
It
and a yellow one.
painted any color, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's called.
Then-
Princess Bird is 8 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet.
Which one's the?
Which one's Princess Bird? That
That's
one?
this
That
one
one
here.
And the other one
And
is,
then
The middle one is 3 by 3.
high stepping 63 inches tall, 549.
the drama,
Yeah.
so I'd say.
I like the birds, but
Whatever this one is down here, I like that one.
This one?
Would you call it Mrs. Bird? What?
that's the princess bird.
Princess Bird is great. The flower is great too.
So we as a committee get to decide then, huh?
Maybe,
Sounds
I
like
mean,
we-
it depends
What
on
do you,
your
what do you
avail-
think? I get input from the staff. I just,
Well,
Well, they already
They
voted.
voted on those two.
I didn't
It's not-
participate
Okay, but-
because I have no taste,
so
so.
they said,
We narrowed it
It's not
down.
stopping
to
us, Joe.
20 or so.
Oh,
So
okay.
I just went with the top 20.
so we'll make the
And
final pick, right?
These
Okay.
two actually tied for first.
Okay.
And then I think this one
Really?
and that one, I think tied for second. I think that one came in.
I like.
All right,
Mrs.
let's-
Bird.
I like the flower too.
Who
Like-
wants? We
Well,
can
we-
just point to them, we'll raise our hand.
Right?
Or we can make the decision that staff will determine which ones go out here.
I'm up for anything.
We like all three. We like those. We've chosen 3 out of the
Get it
5.
moving.
No,
So,
step
that
forward,
one-
make
The
a decision.
people and the flower.
And the
And what
Mrs.
was the
the
last
Bird,
one?
the Mrs. Bird, yeah, whatever they.
Okay.
Yes.
Whatever one we can get, we'll get.
Whichever one we can
I
get.
vote for the people. I'm just one vote then.
Okay.
So noted,
Okay.
I'm
sir.
always-
Thank you all for making those votes. I know it's hard.
Thank you so much. Excited to bring this in.
That was the easiest one.
This is fun.
Hopefully we'll be able to get it. installed
Okay.
in time, yeah.
Thank you so much for doing the follow-up on
Thank
it.
you.
It is good. And everybody needs to understand, don't we have some local artist artwork, say, at the entrance back here to the city hall, and we've got
Art things too.
artwork.
For the flower.
Yes,
You voted to move forward with the program, and then as far as the
sculpture.
sculptures themselves, there wasn't a vote on it.
We didn't want to vote on that. I
Well,
thought
there's an availability issue, so we just
Yeah.
told those 3.
So I'm prioritizing these 3.
Oh,
Yeah, and
whatever.
then we'll leave those 2 off, and unless, of course, those 3 are not available, and then we'll
then we'll
move
go
on to
back to
those.
those two. Mhm.
All right.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
Okay. We have our Village Green Phases 1 and 2 updates. I know we've had some talk on some things, but not on everything. So Mr. Vunich, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and members of the committee, I'm going to be very brief. Included in the first segment of this presentation is the design for the switchgear, which will be substantially less in cost than the dump bank that was originally proposed to underground the utility lines. We are waiting on Ameren Missouri's cost relative to their work as part of the installation of the switchgear and taking the electrical lines underground. And as Mr. Dodd mentioned tonight, he is working with Reinhold Electric for the cost together for the components that they do before Ameren, Missouri shows up on the site. Just to give you an update, we are at about $1.5 million of expenditures for the project. Again, the bulk of that being very early on with the stormwater work and the installation of the underground punching facilities. There was discussion of the change orders. As you can see, we basically have upgraded the light standards, so to speak, to be compliant with our requirements of the zoning code, the outdoor lighting requirements. We'll talk a little bit later about the trash enclosure. The Mayor's Grove is relocating over. Mr. Dobb mentioned that. The electrical work for Essen Log Cabin was an add-on as well. Water meter pit, that's complete. Undergrounding of the lines, the pavers, the organic lock. I do want to make one mention about the pavers. That was a suggestion that came from Bombshell Construction versus over the organic lock. And although they're not complete, as there's still work to be done. It was a great decision on your all's part to go with that. It's going to be less maintenance, it's going to last a lot longer. I really think they're going to look nice. So if there's any questions on the switchgear or any of the components of the upgrade, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Rippicote. Phase 2.
Can anyone spell diuretic? I'll be right back.
I was just getting it ready, asked if, can we have a break?
It's a little more information than I needed.
Let's go take a five-minute break and,
Jeez, Katie, that's generous.
well, hopefully everybody will be back sooner than that, but
So,
I
but
don't
at
wanna
7:30,
rush
you'll be in the meeting.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We have in the past, Mr. Galani is very precise.
No, we don't
yes,
extend it.
we're kind of running over here a little bit.
We don't want to extend the meeting.
Yeah,
What? We did. We rehashed the old days. How to bring business. Common conversation Wildwood. How do you bring in new business? You know,
I said it was the best meeting I've listened to in a long time.
Pardon me?
I listened to the economic development meeting. I said earlier that it was the best meeting. So,
Really? I talk too much.
conversation.
Good, got a lot done.
What'd you get done?
Voted to do away with the sign escrow program.
Okay.
And, let's see, what else did we do? We endorsed use of digital signs by non-taxable entities. So that was include City Hall,
You're right.
fire, schools, nothing else.
Churches?
No,
Okay. I just want to make sure you stated that. and-
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what else we did. One or two items we pushed forward. but
No, I better.
Those are two big things I can think about.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who's the chair this time? You again?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Good job.
That's-
Yeah, you just have.
You know, last year,
enthusiasm.
how many meetings did we have where we showed up and we did not have a quorum?
Oh.
Much better.
And at least two, if not maybe three. And makes it hard to get anything done.
Yep.
So I had a nice little friendly reminder, if you can't make it, let us know ahead of time.
Mhm.
If for no other reason, then we can, let, you know.
Staff
we each
and
go
the
home.
rest of the committee. go
Yeah, yeah.
Before they even get here.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna try to do is make it a point, besides the agenda, which gets sent out ahead of time,
Mhm.
Yeah, we allow you to take. a
Okay,
drive.
I have unmuted us.
And then bring it back and that's final. for
Yep.
review in one day.
Just slows the process down.
We did that last night,
Yeah,
didn't we?
unnecessarily, yeah.
Throw it away. Start all over.
Okay, let's continue on. I'm sorry.
I
Ms. Ripito, I think you're up next with the single source contract and fundraising.
Excellent. Okay, so yes, thank you, Chair and members of the committee. So yes, this is twofold and they're not exactly related, so I'll address them separately. And if you wanted to vote on them separately, that would be okay as well. As far as the single source contracting, the city council approved the conceptual design of the Premier Park, and the Premier Playground in the park. And the next step in the development is design and engineering of the bidding plans and specs. And then at the time in which this was approved, the department anticipated that once the bid components were completed, which included the plans and specs, the site development components, which include the grading, drainage, utilities, and other items, that this would then be bid out. Well, the department recently met with All Inclusive to discuss the next steps and details of the associated contract. And they offered the option of using them as kind of like one-stop shopping. They go through Sourcewell, which meets the state's requirements for the bidding process because they're all pre-bid through Sourcewell, which would eliminate us having to go through that step, which then would eliminate the time associated with going through that step, as well as the time for preparing the RFQ and all of that information. And so should the city choose to move forward with unlimited play as a single source contract, they also mentioned that one of their preferred contractors that they work with and the one that they would like to work with on this project is Ideal Landscape Group, which they've had experience, they've done their other projects, so it's not an unknown factor. And Ideal has also done several projects in Wildwood. So the city is also familiar with their work and the exceptional quality of their work. So this would be a preferred contractor of the cities as well. So this seemed like a win-win to that extent. And so if this is a direction that we would like to move forward with, then we can work on a contract that it includes all of the steps instead of bidding out that one component. Because right now the city would be, they'd be doing the design and engineering. They're also getting all the equipment. And so they're already doing most of it. And so if that's something that we want to move forward with, it will save us time. And time is kind of important with this one because we have a grant for $575,000, but it is supposed to be completed within 18 months, which is approximately 1 year from now. And so we need to get
We need to
moving
get
on
moving.
that one.
Any questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got lost. What project is this?
The Unlimited Play Playground?
Over
the
here?
Playground facility?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So Unlimited Play, remind me,
Mhm.
is a nonprofit organization, correct? Right,
That is
then I
correct.
feel very comfortable with this.
Yes, and so that they have it set up, and I think for a reason, because it's a very specialized thing. And so therefore, them being able to go through Sourcewell is also helpful because, you know, they're not having to retrain contractors and refigure out how to work together. And so I think it's a really good setup that they have going on there. And then I will also address the fundraising component because that was also brought up at our meeting.
Do we need to
And
vote about?
we can do that now, or if you want to wait until the end, I am fine with however you would like to proceed.
Go ahead, go.
Then
Yeah,
I,
let's vote on.
then I would make the motion to proceed with Unlimited Play as the general contractor, I guess. Is that the way I should phrase it?
Correct.
All right.
Do we have a second?
Sure.
Mr. Rambo seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay, that one's taken care of.
Excellent. Well, I'll zip through this one. I should be able to zip through this one too, because I think half of it was already handled. So I will start here because I think that this is the interesting part. Director Vunich addressed the fundraising component, parts of this fundraising component that they also offer, and it is all part of their service. So that's the good thing about it, is that they do a lot of the work. The city will still have to do some of the work, like they don't actually go out looking for donations and reaching out to people, but this type of facility that is for, all-inclusive children, it tends to attract attention, and thus you can also go outside of the city limits. They actually, in a city like Wildwood, which is predominantly a bedroom community with small business entities, that we have a hard time pressing, for a $300 banner for Celebrate Wildwood. Going outside to larger organizations or organizations that are very supportive of this type of thing,
Some
maybe Children's Hospital.
corporations
but-
do that. I know Union Pacific, in fact, I used to deliver foundation checks.
Mhm.
You might look at some of the corporations in town that handles foundation.
That's correct. Yeah, well, and that's also, although we might be a bedroom community, given the demographics of Wildwood, we probably have a lot of people that work outside of the city of Wildwood that could also bring this to their organization. They would also put it on their website, and this was really cute. So this is under the Unlimited Play website, and they have a little map, and so we would actually go on here, and so they actually have like a little ticker as to, we would set however much we're trying to,
Varies.
yes, and it varies quite a bit. Some of them it's 350,000, some it's 615, some it's 3 million. And so this would go in there, people would be able to donate straight through their website. So the city wouldn't have to handle that and set up all the accounts related to that. It would just essentially reduce the cost of what we would be spending on the playground. And this playground, we already have pretty much funded. It's slightly over budget, which could be addressed, relatively easy by, taking something down in the park or, finding another source for it. So again, we have the 575,000 that we have raised, but through the grant, but this could offset additional,
Is there any way we can change the name of our park so that it's not at the bottom of the list and it's in the A range? A.
so just so that I can
Home
take
Center
you here,
Park.
because I think that. So in here, they have, you can donate to this playground. It's got about the playground and such. But it also has like a cute flyover video.
Mhm.
That's not the
More
cute flyover
information
video.
for the people.
In which they actually show what our park would look like and whatnot. That's a little choppy going through Zoom, but they also have,
Melanie, would it be possible to put a URL on the homepage of our website
yes.
so that it links
We can put
to
it
our
here.
specific site here on this?
Yes, if you look up, where it says Carnival Elementary School.
Yeah, I can't read that from here,
sign,
but
yeah, so it would take people right there. We could put QR codes in our newsletters. We could promote it however we wanted to, but they would also help us promote it.
okay.
And then if you go into this, I put a couple of copies of their brochure that they would offer. This is what Director Vunich was referring to as far as them including the cost of the equipment. And so people could sponsor specific equipment and we could make those decisions essentially. Some of them have an overall, we're trying to get $650,000. Some of them are sponsor this. And then you also have the choice of, do we want a placard on the individual equipment or near the equipment? Or do we just want to have like a board that thanks all of our sponsors, and you could categorize it however you'd like. Some of them have sponsorship divided by cutesy little names, as far as the sponsors are concerned. And so, essentially, this is a service that they offer. They also, through this, they would also provide advice on grants that we could potentially apply for and things like that. And given that it is no additional charge. It would be a little additional work on our end, but I mean, so if it's successful, great. And if it's not, we're no worse off than we are now. And essentially the park, will still get built. But it could help offset, or that money could then go to things like the Essen Log Cabin or the stage or whatnot.
Mr.
Very,
Rambo.
very quick question.
Sure.
We were talking about more mundane sales, benches, bricks, those kinds of things.
Mhm.
How do we dovetail that? How do we integrate that that overall initiative with this specific one on unlimited play? Because it's part and parcel of the same thing, but we're referring people to, hey, if you want to donate, go here. No, if you want to donate, go here. How do we?
So
All
Let's try to
into
go.
one
I
site.
think that as far as those two programs are concerned, I think that those are two separate programs. But we can talk to them and see if the bricks can be incorporated into, the bricks are like more of a commemorative, like.
Yeah, but we're
memorial
also
type
talking about
program.
benches and so forth. I mean,
Sure.
we talked to, it's large, small scale to large. I'm trying to think of a way to integrate that.
Absolutely. Or if somebody is, committing $12,000, $10,000, they get a free brick with it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I feel like. this
Yeah.
is,
Sure.
maybe that's how we commemorate our sponsors, our donors.
I would say that we go back to unlimited play and ask, how can we make this site specific to our needs and include not only what this program is providing, but
Right.
also what the city is sponsoring as well? Can we
Absolutely.
include both of those items on the list so that if I'm a mom of 5 kids, I do not have $10,000 sitting
Right.
in my bank account right now, but I'd really like to donate a brick.
Yep.
Right.
Tell me
well,
what it's gonna cost to donate a brick.
Back to our
And if you look
site,
at.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
for that piece of it, you could still probably get them to put a link.
just make it
Absolutely. And if
seamless.
you look at the options, there's options of, just contributing towards the donor wall. So your name would just be put on the wall, or equipment sponsorship, or some of them even have naming of the park,
Uh-huh.
and so I don't know if that's a direction that we would necessarily want to go,
Yeah.
but maybe it is,
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of figuring out the best way, the best approach that the city could seek sponsorships. And I don't think that having the ability of donating less is better, for sure. But having that ability for people to donate $12,000, I can't argue with that. And I would say that the other bonus to this is, well, I would say that as far as the discussion earlier concerning seeking sponsorship for Essen Log Cabin versus seeking sponsorship for unlimited play, I feel like we have the resources to do it with unlimited play, with assistance and with a program that's already set up. And Essen Log Cabin, we've been seeking donations for years and haven't been completely successful with it. And so I
And
think,
what does that tell you?
well, and that's it. But I feel like this, there is a potential. They have brought in.
This
a lot of
gives
money.
us the possibility to look at this methodology to provide
Mhm.
a vehicle to engage our community in giving us donations for these activities.
Absolutely.
And so I would strongly suggest that we figure out some way that this is on the homepage.
Oh, absolutely. We will incorporate it wherever we possibly can. It'll be on the Village Green, it will be on the homepage, it will be pushed out through social media, and then whatever their resources are for pushing it out.
Well, I think a really good time, especially for the bricks and the benches, would be Celebrate Wildwood. I think that would be a really good time to get
That's
those.
part of the reason we're eager to move forward, like get this ball rolling sooner than later. They said that they could have a catalog for us relatively quickly, and
I would look at Deerbirds too and Schnucks and just make a personal visit with them they'll probably donate a good chunk of change.
it's a worthwhile
Yeah.
cause, and I feel like the Essen Log Cabin, I hear people that are, oh, it's too much. And then I hear people that are, oh, gosh, we have to, it's been 10 years. I feel like people tend, but I feel like an all-inclusive playground, everybody is like, it's
Right.
for the children,
The log cabin, in fairness, there's nothing, you can't put a plaque on, you can put 20 plaques on the log cabin.
Right.
It's not like a like a brick, but my question, actually, I'm jumping in, I'm sorry, but I really would like to know if they set the prices for those items or if we have some flexibility. If we say, okay, if somebody pays $5,000, we're gonna name this bench, name this seesaw after them, as opposed to 12,000 to actual buy the seesaw.
I believe that we can name those prices. I think they'll give us, you know, their catalog as to how much it costs. And then I think that we can offset it because we do already have some of the funding. And then also, you know, possibly have like, you know, gold level sponsors and
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
that aren't
yeah.
necessarily,
I'm gonna recommend that we take a vote on whether we want to move forward with this type of a program and put that responsibility for the details with Melanie and with all-inclusive play so that we get the biggest bang for our buck on the first go around.
I'll make that motion.
I do have one question. So are you including the bricks through this program or?
Potentially, yes.
if we can, then absolutely. I don't know if they have the capacity for putting the names and stuff
Well,
on it, but
I'd be a little concerned at doing that because then somebody would be more willing to donate less than more. And if they don't have the option to donate less.
donating $12,000.
Exactly.
I like this. But yeah, if we can combine the two, that would be great. If not, then we'll make sure that they are, you know, referenced, you know, together or multiple places.
Yes, Mr. Vunich.
Just from the department's perspective, I want to depend on unlimited play to tell us how best to maybe fund some of these larger items. And if they were to say that adding the bricks or benches at this time may draw away from that, I would depend on their expertise. They were very confident about their ability to basically draw some donors to our project. And I'd like to depend on them. As we go through this and we get feedback from them, we'll always bring it to the committee so we can refine it, get your direction and take it back to them.
Okay, so all in favor?
Did we
Aye.
make a motion?
Aye.
Yes,
Aye.
I don't know if I had a second on that. Was it?
that was Mr. Rambo.
Yeah, it was me.
You were the second? Okay, who made the motion? Was that?
Mr. Rottenberg.
Okay, thank you. Perfect.
I would say trust but verify though, because they still, even though they're nonprofit, they have they're motivated to get this playground in, and so we have to understand whether what they're saying is really accurate or not.
The playground's already going in, you know.
No,
so
no, I
that's-
understand that, yeah.
But just judging from their donation like website, I feel like a lot of the playgrounds had a lot of funding that had
Okay,
already
you've done
been.
it then.
You just set a goal and then, you know, especially with that ticker, you know, I think that helps motivate people. So I think that. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
with your permission, the remaining items, either ones that we asked if there's questions, and then the other items, they can be delayed if you'd like. The trash enclosure bid, the master plan, the signage, those were more just, the last two are more updates, and so they having the report, you're getting the information.
Okay,
So if you'd like to conclude the meeting, that it's fine.
Yeah.
I would like to make a motion that we follow Director Vunich's recommendation and adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
I did have one question. Did you get responses back on the master plan survey?
I received one.
Okay.
So we gave you a paper copy, that was an idea of Ms. McCutcheon,
Uh,
and so if you'd like to fill that out, and we have time, obviously, the master plan, the citizen oversight group, through the goals and objectives of the environmental, so you have ample time to get to the planning, services, open space. Yeah, anything you'd like to provide, it's worthwhile, and it will go through that group of our peers and incorporate it. So thank you.
So this is what we have to do. I'll bring it back up because there's a lot to fill out. You.
Thank you.
It's online too, right?
Survey.
Yeah.
Go online.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't
I'll
have
do
to
it
go
online.
fill it out.
Yeah.
That's easier.
Director Vonich, you get a star because you were here 2.5 hours last night and you're here almost 2.5 hours tonight.
We can really quit tomorrow.
They'll be back on Thursday too.
All right.
Thank you all.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
Good job, Melanie.
Good job tonight.
We actually vote on the motion to adjourn?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, all right.
I don't think we did, but I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
I second.